Welcome everybody to The Lost Element. My name is Deecent, I'm an Austrian rapper, but first and foremost I'm a hip hop head, and this is just a decent review of Reachin by Digable Planets, released in 1993 and considered an absolute milestone in jazz rap history. To be honest, before last week I only knew two songs from this album, which are Rebirth of Slick, Cool Like That and Where I'm From. So I spent the whole last week to listen to the full project, so let's go through it. Starting with track number 1 called It's Good to Be Here. You immediately get a feeling what Digable Planets is about with that jazzy, funky beat. The intro reminded me a little bit of Oddcast's AT Aliens because of this space sounds, but then it transitions into this jazz beat with an immediate celebration of arrival. The trio delivers parts about being happy to have arrived in the hip hop culture and that they found their place and making clear what they are all about: jazz, funk, hip hop. It's just a really fun introduction into the album and into the group's chemistry. A simple track with good vibes and just really nice to listen to start off the album. And the outro of that song gives that vibe of sitting in a jazz cafe in New York City and just listening to a live band. Going right into the track number 2 called Pacifics. The song is about a Sunday morning where they're just chilling and watching people live their lives. This captured this sense of community which this whole album kinda delivers the whole time. What really stands out for me on this track is that all 3 members of the group use the same flow throughout the whole song. So it always goes like and that just keeps on the whole song. This can get a little bit repetitive when you listen to the song a few times, but I think it's a really cool detail. They chose this flow to really follow the instrumental and all 3 members just stick to it. It's a great smooth song with a really nice New York City vibe. The next song, Where I'm From, is my first personal highlight. This is actually one of my top 3 favorite tracks on this album, so here is the list and put it on number 2. The song is about the roots of jazz music and African culture, and also about their own cultural heritage. It kind of paints a picture of the harsh reality of street life, but also about the creativity and the creative minds that come with it. It's again a perfect example of what Digable Planets are about and also what defines their musical style. An incredible jazz-influenced hip-hop beat with real and honest lyrics, which again creates a perfect picture of New York City lifestyle in the 90s in my mind. Track number 4, What Cool Breezes Do, is just another really feel-good song. It's about being true to yourself and keep on going your own way. What stands out the most on this track is without a doubt the brass instrumentation on the hook, which immediately gives you that good vibes. And that's also the reason why I immediately fell in love with this song, so put it on number 3. I really love that song and come back to it very often. It's just relaxed and smooth that you can't help but enjoy listening to it and be in a good mood. Track number 5 is the title track called Time and Space, which sets a slightly deeper tone in my opinion. Only the hook brings back some of the good feeling vibes, but in the verses it gets a little bit more serious. They talk about time and space and how they're just mental constructs instead of real limitations. They also introduce their insect metaphors where they present themselves as doodlebug, butterfly and ladybug, mecha, which represents their humble lifestyle a little bit. They use this perspective to criticize people who live too fast and the fast-paced mentality of modern life, which is crazy to think about that this album is from 1993 and it's getting even worse in my opinion. It's still going through a jazzy beat, but with slightly more serious lyrics than in the previous songs. Track number 6 is my personal highlight on this album, Rebirth of Slick, Cool Like That. And I also think this is the fan favorite of this album, and I completely understand why, so put it on number 1. Because this song just defines what Digable Planets are all about. They are talking about their own style and their own coolness with a lot of confidence, but never in a boasting and bragging way. They are simply appreciating their own style without any self-doubt. It just feels natural and never over the top, creating the perfect profile of the trio. And when that bass line starts, you immediately get that vibe. The samples fit perfectly and create an all-time hip-hop classic with a sound you don't hear very often. So this is really my absolute personal highlight on this album, and I'm really looking forward to it when they are performing this song at Hip Hop Camp in 2 weeks. Track number 7, Last of the Spiddyocks, sets the tone a little more serious again. They talk about growing up with jazz music and about the golden age of jazz, and they explain how jazz legends inspired their art, but also touch on the darker side of fame in the jazz culture, like the substance abuse that plagued a lot of jazz legends. I really like this kind of darker jazz beat, especially with the trumpets in the verses, just playing one note after another without really playing a melody. It's again a nice smooth track, but it also has a deeper message which forces you to do more than just vibe to the music. It makes you actually listen to the lyrics. The next song, Jimmi Diggin' Cats, is like an ode to Jimi Hendrix and other music legends like the Jackson 5 or MC Hammer. They are talking about an alternate reality where these legends look down on the new generation of artists and how they appreciate their style and music. That's kind of basically what the phrase digging cats refers to. It's a beautiful homage to the legends who are not longer with us and to their music, which means a lot to this trio, while also showing how grateful they are that they are now following in their footsteps. Again, it's a smooth, nice jazz beat with a sample from Kool and the Gang, I think, and a beautiful melody in the hook that at first glance for me I thought wouldn't fit the track, but after listening to it 2 or 3 times, I really can appreciate how this sound fits into this beat. The next song, La Femme Fetale, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, tells the story of a young couple considering abortion because of their financial situation and their young age, while sharply criticizing anti-abortion protesters, clinics, and the control over women's bodies. It's quite simply delivered and kind of feels more like talking than rapping at times. And I think that's the reason why this song doesn't do that much for me personally. I completely understand the importance of that topic and what they are trying to say, but it just doesn't feel like a track I would play on its own. It's not a reason for me to skip the song when I'm playing the whole album, but it's just not a track I found myself coming back to very often. Track number 10, Escapism, is again a very positive and feel-good vibe, and another little highlight for me personally. The trio talks about using music and their art to escape from mental struggles, and it kind of shows the joy and freedom they find in hip-hop culture and how they define hip-hop and their music as a safe space. And that just really connects with me. It's again a smooth, laid-back beat which perfectly fits their laid-back personality. And what's really outstanding for me is that synthesizer sound in the hook. It immediately reminded me of Dr. Dre's The Chronic album, but I'm not even sure if that's the same sample used. I kind of like had the same melody or the same feeling when I heard that synthesizer. So if you know where this sample or this melody is from, feel free to correct me and let me know in the comments. Track number 11, Appointment at the Vet Clinic, is a perfect example how strong Digable Planets is also when it comes to lyricism. They show that they are not just about jazzy and funky beats, they also can create a whole song based on a metaphor. The metaphor here is about bringing their jazz, heavy, fat beats into the hip hop culture. They drop the verses one after another over a relatively simple beat, but with a perfect sound to just play in the background and enjoy. It's a simple but very intelligent track that just flawlessly fits on this album. Track number 12, Nickelback's, moves on with the smooth atmosphere, with the fitting topic of smoking weed, and it again paints a perfect picture of that lifestyle back then, and I again picture New York City in the 90s in my head. Everything kind of just seems fun and people are having a good time. There is this really warm atmosphere throughout the whole song that makes it feel like you're sitting in a jazz cafe in New York again. Although with some of the other tracks on this album still in my mind, I know that outside of this jazz cafe, things might have been a little different. But again, it's just a really smooth track, perfect to vibe to in the background. Track number 13, Swoon Units, celebrates female writers, icons, and legends of black culture. Fitting perfectly with the conscious intellectual topics Digable Planets presents, they pay tribute to women who have had an important influence on black culture and history. Again, they use a lot of samples, including samples from Earth, Wind & Fire and James Brown, creating an outstanding jazz sound that runs through the whole album. It's a really nice track that doesn't just sound good, but also gives you the opportunity to learn about some iconic writers, artists, and important figures from the culture. And the last song, Examination of What, is a really nice way to end this project. It explores the relativity and illusion of time, and the idea that humanity is small and tiny, perfectly introduced with the sentence, "We are just babies." It frames human existence as tiny in a massive universe. For me, it's like a reminder not to take everything too seriously and to enjoy the time and things we have. It's a perfect ending to all the topics this album is about, like problems growing up, dealing with life, but still enjoying everything we can. And musically, this song represents that jazzy, warm atmosphere once again. It feels like the end of a beautiful evening in a jazz cafe. You go home, continue with your life, and just feel grateful. So what's my final verdict on Reachin by Digable Planets? I completely understand why this is considered such a milestone in hip-hop culture and basically in the jazz rap genre. It's just something completely different when you only know rap music from radio or TV, at least in my environment. There's no talking about guns or glorifying drugs, besides a little bit of weed, but come on. It's just so much fun to play this album in the background and just vibe to this jazz sound. Unfortunately, I don't own this record on vinyl yet, but I really look forward to it because that sound will bring the best out of this record, I'm sure. So what's my final rating? From a hip-hop perspective, the fact that this is such a different style and such a milestone in this kind of hip-hop music makes it at least a 9. But here at The Lost Element, I rate albums based on my personal connection, my emotions, my memories, and how much I want to come back to listen to this album. And I also rate every single song, which then brings me to the full album rating. So here you can see my rating for every single song. Feel free to pause if you want to take a closer look. And this brings me to the whole rating of this album, which is a 7 for me. So it's absolutely worth a listen, and as a hip-hop head, you need to know the history behind this album, and if you're a jazz fan, you will definitely find some cuts that you will love. So let me know your opinion in the comments, tell me if you have any personal connection or memories with this album, and follow The Lost Element here on YouTube, TikTok and Instagram, and make sure to tune in next Sunday when I review our album of this week, which is this one. And until then, jump in the comments and let's talk hip hop.